Okay, we should be live.
Deal.
How's it going, everybody? I'm here with Frank. We'll give everybody just a second. We're right at 9 p.m. I want to welcome Frank and give everybody just a second. If you know anybody that wants to jump on, go ahead and tag them real quick in the group, and we will kind of get rolling. Frank took a second out of his busy day here to meet us. He actually went next door. His gym is too busy to even do this in. So how's it going, Frank?
Going very well. Very, very well.
All right. Let me do one thing real quick here. If you can hear us and you can see us on Facebook World, give us a little thumbs up. What's up, John? If you can hear us and see us, go ahead and give us a quick thumbs up in the group. And when you jump on, please drop your location in so we know where you are. What's up, Brandy? All right, cool. So we are here with Frank Roncadori, and he is a Gracie Barra black belt, and you are in Alabama, right?
Yes, sir. Out of Birmingham.
All right. So you want to give a quick backstory of your jiu-jitsu and kind of how you got started?
Okay. So I started training martial arts actually when I was 10 years old and went the route that most people did, taekwondo, a little bit of kickboxing, did a bunch of different stuff, and then started helping out a friend of a friend with his stand-up work that was doing MMA at the time, and I didn't know anything about it. And I had a guy that was like, I'm about 240 pounds, 185 pounds, me a couple seconds. I was like, oh, okay, I need to learn jiu-jitsu. So I spent the next decade plus learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice. So you were originally stand-up with Muay Thai, or?
Yeah, I was a stand-up guy. I mean, it was taekwondo was my original background, and then into Western style kickboxing, and I did some boxing too, but nothing impressive or great.
Good. Did you do any MMA stuff or just help people train?
I just help people train. I never had the guts to get in a cage.
Oh, nah, man.
Not disciplined enough to do the diet and cut the weight.
I feel you. That is always the hardest part. That's like, I even say like, man, I'd like to get back and do one more fight maybe, but I'm like, do I want to go like 8 weeks with a bunch of killers? Like if I could just get in the cage and fight, it'd be one thing. It's the training, getting into it would be the thing I don't want to do.
We're gonna make new rules for cage fights where you have to have a certain body fat percentage.
There you go.
Not have to get in shape, just
no weight cuts.
Yep.
Cool. So okay, so started kind of training, got into jiu-jitsu. Always been with Gracie Barra?
Originally started off with a Carlson Gracie school until I was middle of my blue belt journey, and then while I was a blue belt, transferred over to Gracie Barra, somebody that I had been training with for a long time. Transitioned and opened up the school and have been with them since.
Nice. So you said that's been a while, right? You're a black belt now. So how long have you been with Gracie Barra?
Since 2012. So man, it's been a while.
Yeah, that's a long time. Hey Bal, thanks for jumping on. Junko, what's up? So cool. How did you get? So you said you switched over to Gracie Barra, and then that's kind of when you started to think about opening up a school. Or was it after training for a while?
It had been after a good while. I actually, so basically went with a friend of mine when he opened up Gracie Barra here. It was the first Gracie Barra in the state, and I went with him. And honestly, I was not a very good practitioner. The only reason that I really felt the need to train jiu-jitsu was because I did have a stand-up or striking background and thought I could take care of myself. And after I realized that I couldn't, I felt like I had to do it. And I would train, but I never really trained that hard until a friend of mine opened up a gym. And then I was one of his only colored belts because he started a new gym. So I started working my rear end off. We went started competing and whatnot, won a couple big tournaments, won IBJJF US Nationals, Gi and Nogi is a purple belt, won a handful of Atlanta Opens as a brown belt. And I got divorced, had some big life change things happen. And prior to that, I'd done international construction. I built military bases, embassies, consulates, some of that all over the world. And I got out of that racket so I could be home to spend more time with my daughter. And basically decided, hey, I want to do something worthwhile. So I opened up a gym. So
Nice.
get my day job and opened up a gym. I was running a gym at night.
So how was that kind of first year, 2 years? How was it?
Well, first year was rough. I kept a full-time day job doing engineering work, and I was basically footing the bills on the gym. Like, I was lucky that I had a profitable previous career, so I was able to go into the gym without having any debt.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, each month, there'd be losses,
Yeah.
and we were flirting with that. Hey, we're about broke even basically almost since day one. I mean, we opened up with 50 plus members, and the problem was we never really could get more than 70 or 80 even at the end of the year. It just always kind of stayed fairly flat. So the first year was pretty miserable. It was a rewarding experience and I learned a lot, but it wasn't really until I started seeking outside help that I was able to change it from something that was a drain on my family to something that's now profitable.
Good, good. And how long was that? And how long have you been in business? Did you say?
Well, we opened up January of 2019,
Okay.
and I didn't come on with y'all until we started talking in December, but I had to have ACL surgery and
Yeah,
was
I
out
remember
until like middle of January. So I started with y'all middle of January of 2020, and yeah, it's been great.
that. So right before all the havoc.
Yep.
So at that point when you were kind of before you were at what, how many students? 50, 60?
Um, when we first opened up, we were probably about 50 or 60. By the time probably like February rolled around of our first year, we were about 50 or 60. But by end of the year, I was still probably only around 80 people.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of times it's that kind of attrition of, you get a couple, you lose a couple, get a couple, lose a couple, and it's kind of like that hamster wheel. And
Yep.
usually that first 100 is pretty easy to get to, because even if you're at 20% churn, that's really only like two people, right? So you're only losing a couple people a month, where you're starting to bring new people in, and you're getting 4 or 5, but you're losing 2 or 3. So yeah, once you kind of get to that 100 mark is usually where the growth kind of stalls. Um, and then so you came in February. From there, how did things go until COVID kind of hit?
So we got our ads up and everything running pretty quick. So we were able to actually be up by the end of January. And what's crazy is even though we only ran like half of January, um, it was pretty amazing the results that we saw in like the week and a half that we were up. By the time that we did February, the month of February, I doubled what I had done the month of January.
Good,
So
good.
it was an immediate boom. It was so good that I went from using my day job to support me in the gym to where I decided to take a risk. I left my day job, and on March 1st, not knowing that the whole world was about to be shut down, on March 1st, I decided to leave my day job and only do the gym.
Nice. So basically in a month, you're able to kind of make that decision of like, hey, this is going to work. We've got enough things happening where people are coming in, and we're going to take that chance. That's pretty sweet. But like you said, then the world ended. So what do you think? Obviously that wasn't an easy decision, to kind of quit that day job, especially just kind of a month or so into the new program. What made you make that switch of like, okay, we can do this, and I'm going to go all in? And was it just confidence in yourself being able to do the sales, or what kind of made you take that leap of faith?
Um, well, this is going to sound a little nuts, but we had done it for a year where we had ran a business, and we ran a business. I had a full-time day job. I did everything at night. The truth of the matter is I was at my wit's end.
Yeah.
I knew I was in a position where I either had to make it work, and if I didn't make it work, it had to end.
Yeah.
So I sat down once we kind of all got together, implemented all of the plans. When they worked as systematically as they were, it was very easy to see, hey guys, these numbers equal this. This is a very systematic and formula approach. I had seen like other systems that people had talked about where it was like, hey, do these things, do that, but it was always very vague and there were no tangibles. this made mathematical sense. It was a very easy formula. It was, hey, we're going to do these things. We get these results. These are the numbers. This is how it works out every time. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. And I mean, it has. I mean,
Uh,
even through the pandemic, it has.
Yeah. I mean, that was very similar to kind of when I ended up quitting my electrical job. It was the same idea. Like we had been running the academy for a while. I had, two kids, I guess, at the time. And my wife was kind of like, I'm like getting home, I'm waking up at 4 a.m, driving to DC, doing electrical work, coming home, picking up the kids from daycare, dropping them off with my wife, going back to the academy till 10 o'clock at night, doing it all over again the next day. And it was just such a drain that eventually it was kind of like, hey, look, I'm going to stop doing this. And I'm going to give it, 6 months. And we actually said it was like 13 months. It was like, we'll give it a year and a month. Basically when I stopped was going to be, that time. And it was like, if we don't replace the money by that point, then I'll just go back to my day job and we'll make the academy, either close it, work it somehow, bring somebody in to take over. But, can't keep up with that like daily grind of just like never seeing anybody, constantly working, all of that. So I definitely know how you feel in that situation. If anybody's on the live right now and you're working a day job or you feel that same kind of thing, let us know. It is stressful, not only for yourself, but family and everything else. And it starts to show on the mats, like when you're not happy to be there because you're wore out from your job or whatever. So fast forward, kind of like COVID hits, like what's going through your mind? You're like, man, I just quit my job. And
Oh man, I don't know if I really want to share what I felt. But it was pretty bad and pretty pathetic. Let's be honest. So the way it played out in our state, every state, everybody's having to deal with different problems. Okay, so the way that it played out in our state, they came out middle of March and they said, hey, we're going to shut everything down for 2 weeks. So they shut everything down for 2 weeks. So there was a little bit of a freak out and paranoia about that. And there were a lot of people saying, hey, look, this is going to go further. This is going to be whatever. But I was like, I'm just going to kind of, hold tight for a minute and see what happens. And immediately you and Jonathan and Brandy were all saying, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We need to do these things. This is how we're going to pivot. These are the steps that we need to make. These are the things that we need to prepare. And I'll be honest with you, I personally was like, I'm not doing all this. Like, this isn't gonna. There's no way that this kind of insanity is going to ensue. Like, this is just asinine. It did play out that way though, honestly, I was terrified. I mean, I didn't know what we were going to do, but slowly and surely we implemented the things that you said. We addressed it the way that you said. We dealt with our customers the way that you told us to. And honestly, I didn't really lose a lot of people. We lost some, but the reality of it is that we ended up coming out of this whole thing a lot stronger.
Yeah.
I lost a couple of people at the beginning. We did all of the things that you said as far as pivoting on, providing all of the online platforms and whatnot. Now, I was one of the guys who did not go out and pursue new members during that time. I know a lot of people did and were seriously successful with it. I didn't feel like I was in a good position to do that. So all I did was make sure I took care of my existing, but my existing stayed. And then with y'all's help, as soon as we started rolling out of it and we were able to start offering no contact classes and slowly start phasing things in, we had a boom.
Yeah.
We had everything up running again. And we are, in the month of July, I tripled what I had done the month of July before.
Nice.
We came out of this with absolutely no debt. We're profitable. I couldn't ask for a better outcome. If you would have told me, even without the pandemic, that we would be where we're at right now, when we were talking in December and in January about getting this going, I would have been ecstatic. In fact, the metrics that we've talked about, numbers of students and all that, we hit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we did the quarterly thing and tried to figure out where you would be summer and then kind of where you wanted to be by the end of the year.
We're right there already.
Yeah, that's great. So you didn't do any of the online, or you did online stuff, but you didn't do any of the kind of like remote academy where you're trying to get new people in.
We did not do that. But we did as far as taking care of our members and a lot of the plans that you talked about. with your remote academy, I ended up providing for my existing members,
Yeah.
and they absolutely loved it. And it's actually helped. It turned around and it helped us recruit a lot of new people because of the word spread about what we had done for them and how we
Yeah.
went about making things
That
right.
that happened around here as well. Like a lot of people were like, man, this other gym, like they're not doing anything, kind of, like lots of that, like nobody else is doing anything, they're not doing anything. And like you said, we pivoted really quick. So we closed our gym on March 16th, I think, March 15th, 16th. And by the very next, that was like a Thursday or Friday, I think. By Monday, we were up and we had new ads going, all like remote academy stuff, bringing new kids in, bringing new fitness stuff in, jiu-jitsu, all that. So yeah, we pivoted really quick. And like you said, we initially used all of that platform to build, like to kind of concrete the people that were still part of the gym. We didn't want to leave them or let them out to dry. So we gave that to them first. And then we started bringing the new people in and selling them that online program from there. And I've talked about this a lot before. I think a lot of people thought that like you can't sell jujitsu online, you can't do that kind of stuff because nobody wants to do it. You have to be Marcelo or Keenan or something to sell that. And really, it's like you always have to remember there's people around your area that have never done martial arts, never done jujitsu, whatever. And they've been scared to come in. Maybe they didn't have time. And now they're all sitting around tons of time. They don't have to come in and make contact with anybody to get hurt. So, that works really well. Even still to this day, it's still working for us.
Well, and one of the things that to my own fault, with the online classes, I did not realize all the I didn't realize all the tools that I had available to me that y'all had provided. If I would have realized all of y'all, I wouldn't have been so hesitant. I didn't realize all that was available to me because when we started our implementation of everything, there was just so much that I didn't dive into every single aspect of it. I didn't realize what we had already built out with portals and everything else. I didn't realize I had all of the resources that I needed available to me. I thought I was going to be recreating all of that myself. So that was my fault. Had I realized what was available to, and I realized after the fact, once we were starting to open back up, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize all this was still here.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a crazy time. Like everybody was worried about their gyms, about their personal life, everything else. And like, everyone just kind of picked their battles and went for it. It was like, okay, I'm going to secure my current students. Okay, I'm going to go out and try to get new students. Like, that just kind of happened. And whatever you got, that mindset was like, I'm going that direction and that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. So Johnny says exactly what he's going through, working all day and teaching martial arts all night and weekends. Yeah, it's really tough. If you guys are, if you got any questions, go ahead and throw them in there. Thanks for jumping on. We got a few people on. So what else? So now you had a great July. How's August looking?
August is great. No, I'm not going to say that August is quite as good as July, but it's double what I would have done the year before.
Good.
I mean, it's pretty good. I had some things that transitioned during that time frame, whereas I was having to do everything before by myself. I've hired an instructor. I've been dealing with possibly moving to another facility. There's been a couple of different things that we've talked about a little bit, and that's kind of kept me a little bit distracted. I took I quit running my programs for a little bit so I could kind of focus on getting some core things right. So that's why my August wasn't quite as good as the July was, but at the same time, all that stuff's ramping back up again, and this week's been a good week.
Good. Yeah, and like you said, you're looking at trying to scale, so because you're like, hey, I can sell, like I want to be selling and having some other people help me with some classes and stuff, and really that's like that's the name of the game. If you can start to back yourself out of some duties, whether it's cleaning, admin work, teaching classes, whatever it is that you don't like to do. If you can back yourself out of those things and use the sales as a way to fill in those positions, the way we do it, like you're doing the same thing. So getting that $500-600 up front. And if you're doing that, like you make 1 or 2 sales a week, it pays for an entire month of somebody teaching a class or doing admin work or whatever. So there's proper ways to scale. And you want to be able to finish those jobs with other people paying them less money so that you can keep running sales and making it rain, as they say. So cool. What's it looking like fall wise? What are you thinking? You got any goals in mind? Like where are you thinking you're trying to get to?
I'll be honest, my big thing for fall is trying to get into a new facility. Right now, we are busting at the seam, and I think I have managed to work out a deal in a space where I'm not going to have to spend that much more in the monthly, very minimal, and move into a much larger facility. Because the truth is I'm at a point where I don't know if I can run that many more ads. And I think most people in the martial arts business will tell you, hey man, I got tons of kids, but I don't have any adults. Man,
Mhm.
my adult classes are so packed out. I don't know what to do about it. I'm literally trying to figure out ways to spread people out and offer more classes. But like my 6 o'clock time slot, I mean, I could probably double my gym, like the square footage, and I'd be willing to bet within a month or two, we could pack that space out based on the way things are
Really?
going. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And so the thing is, you also, you're kind of running our system. So, like, and you're charging higher rates than what normal people would be charging. You're not
Yes, I
charging
am.
$100 a month and saying you have a packed gym. So, like you're charging those premiums, which again is really important so that if you do need more space, it's not because you're not making any money. It's because you're actually making money and you know that you can grow it even more.
Yes, that is definitely the truth. In fact, we talked about it. It was that whole, hey, I can do these things, and we've talked about what those numbers mean as far as with our ad spends and everything else. And
Yeah.
it really is a scenario of I can't really do what I want to do right now because it's just not a way to do it in the space.
Yeah.
So that's the next big step. We move into the next big space, and life's going to be pretty good.
Perfect. Perfect. So anything for me, any questions or you have anything on your end, like that that you feel, has helped or hurt or any guidance for anybody, and not a shameless plug, like anything that you can say also like, hey, like I think this or I think that, anything you got?
I'll say this, and it's not meant to be a shameless plug. It's just to be the truth. I told y'all this on my birthday. I sent it to a message to you and Brandy and Jonathan. There's 2 times a year I like to look back at the rest of the year. It just so happens my birthday's in the middle of the year, and then New Year's at the end. I like to look back and see where we're at, use as my evaluation point. This year would have been sunk. There's a really, really strong possibility I would not have a gym today had I not joined up with y'all. And instead of having basically a business that would have failed, I have a business that's prospering, it's doing well, it's exceeding expectations. It's allowed me to leave my day job that I absolutely hated and despised. Every day that I was there, for the entire time that I was there, I was wishing that I was at my gym at the place that I actually care about and I actually have passion for. And now I get to spend my days there. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that I just sit around all day long on my rear end. No, they're hard days. I mean, I work very hard, but now the work that I'm doing is actually getting me somewhere. Whereas before, I was just spinning my wheels all the time.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's in that situation, if you want to grow your gym, if you want to get out of that day-to-day grind, these are the guys that can help you do it. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
that's it. I cannot express how much I appreciate the fact that I have a business and I still have students.
That's great. Yeah. And it is important to like, I talk about this all the time with jujitsu even. It's like, me as a blue belt, versus somebody that's a blue belt now, or even me as a high, brown belt or whatever against one of my blue belts. Like you just learn things quicker when you have people above you that can help you and pull you through that process. So it's nice to have a group around. And it's not like I kind of lead the ship, I guess, but like everybody's always kind of throwing their 2 cents in, and we work as a group, and kind of we have the round table, because we call Academy King. So we got like the round table where everybody's kind of like putting in, hey, this works for me, this works for me. So it is nice to be around people that not only like love martial arts, but also want to build a business and grow a business, because like you said, like the end of the day, if you're sitting somewhere for, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, you hate being there. You're making somebody else rich. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, man, if I do half of this work at my own gym, like I'm going to be okay. And like you said, it's not easy. Like, I'm in here all the time working, doing sales, pushing out stuff, advertising, marketing. But we have a plan, and when you have a plan, it's always a little bit easier, kind of when you have that plan to follow. No gi or gi? What is it?
Oh, it's gi.
Gi? Yeah, me too.
No, I'm totally a gi guy, but it works out well because the guy that I just hired as an instructor is a big no gi guy.
All right.
So
So you
that
have it
actually
both
works out
covered.
very well for me. Yeah, we definitely have that covered on both sides of the coin.
So you were talking about kids and adults. Is it, do you advertise more for adults and stuff, or did it just grow organically that way? Or you,
It grew organically that way because originally we used the generic Gracie Baja platform, which, has been very successful in a lot of markets. But what a lot of people don't realize is Birmingham, Alabama does not care about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In fact, I tell somebody on the street that I teach Jiu-Jitsu, they karate chop at me. They have no idea what I'm talking about. So it's a unique kind of setup. Everything about here is about football. It's Auburn football. It's Alabama football. It's man, we have peewee leagues that, once kids are 50, 60 pounds, they're playing football. So,
okay.
Jiu-jitsu is just not one of those things, and people just don't know about it. So we started advertising conventional methods. The majority of the people that we had were adults. The majority of the kids that I have are actually children of those adults that they see the worth in it, and they brought their kids into it. As we've done challenges and stuff like that, I've only geared it towards adults. I would say I am probably 60 to 70% adults, 30 something percent kid.
Yeah.
We're going to start rolling out some of the new stuff with the program on the kids. I just haven't gotten to that yet because I've been so busy with the other. Also, just the resources y'all have for the kid, or not for the kids, but for the adults, is just so immense, and it just fits such a good part of our market. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Please tell Nate I was slow to get to review it, but the item he rolled out 2 weeks ago, that is incredible.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Love that.
Yeah.
So that's just another thing that's going to help keep churning and keep adding to that membership.
Great. So we got a couple people on. Anybody have any questions for Frank or for me? Give you a couple seconds while we're kind of wrapping it up. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. So you said Gracie Baja, like what is the traditional kind of marketing or advertising that you guys would do for something like that?
They had a marketing agency that they recommended, and
okay.
we hired them out, and I was spending a couple $1,000s a month in ad spend. And it wasn't getting me anything. I mean, I'm talking about, I was spending between Facebook and Google, I was spending right around $2,000 a month, and I wasn't getting but a couple people a month come in. I mean, I'm talking about maybe signing up between 4 to 7 members a month.
Wow.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't know what the problem was, and just is what it is.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the ad agencies, and it's nothing against them, but a lot of them aren't martial artists. They don't understand, a lot of times those guys have taken 1 or 2 marketing courses, maybe a Facebook advertising course, Google, whatever it is. And they have a template, and it's like, okay, you need to build out an avatar. And I did a podcast yesterday, or a live on this yesterday, talking about the difference between what I call fishing, farming, and hunting. And a lot of times they go with the hunting approach, where it's like, hey, you have a specific avatar that you're hunting, and you're going to really dial in those advertisements for that. So I'm looking for a male 35 to 55, 2 kids, a college graduate, like all of these different parameters, and you kind of build it out, and then you start advertising towards that. And the problem is, with a lot of areas, you niche down so much that you never really get enough traction. So we go with more of that fishing model, where it's like, hey, we're going after a bigger group of people. And yeah, we might not get every one of those people, but we're getting so many leads that come in that you just shuffle them through, and you throw out the bad ones, and you charge the other ones $500 or $600, and you bring them into your system. So I think a lot of ad agencies and I worked with a lot of them before we started to really dig into this stuff. And yeah, you spend a lot of money. It's a lot of theory, like you talked about, and a lot of kind of like, hey, like do this, do that, and I think this should work. Let's do this really like free offer, or like, hey, it's $19 for 3 classes. And then you, like you said, you spend $2,000 on ad spend, you spend another 1,000 or 2 with the agency, and then all of a sudden you got 6 people that paid you $19, and it's like, this doesn't make sense mathematically.
I had people that I was giving away gis. We have to provide Gracie Baja everything. So, I'm spending a good bit of money on gis and rash guards and belts and whatnot, and including that, with their annual membership and charging a lot less for the membership. And it wasn't working. I was coming out of pocket a ton of money. I got a higher retention rate right now. I've got a higher conversion rate, and I'm charging more than 3 times what I was before on the front end, and my monthly rate is much higher. Just a lot of things. And you talk about the marketing agency. When I sat down, so I have a degree in business, and the degree that I have, it's a weird degree. It's called industrial distribution, but it's about distribution and marketing, but of industrial or engineered products. And it's a couple courses off from a marketing degree. And I sat down with my guys that were doing the ad agency and talked with them. They didn't really tell me anything that was that great.
Yeah.
When Jonathan and I started breaking down the ads and he started going through stuff, every time that I had a question, he was like, well, we do this because of this reason. We do this because of this reason. And some of the stuff that he told me, I was kind of like, okay, that sounds kind of crazy that you know this right off the top of your head, these exact numbers, that this is this and this is that, because nobody else in this ad agency that's supposed to be so big knew any of that. And literally within the first month, everything he said that was going to happen, boom, 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 boom. Hey, this happens. This is how we pivot to this. This is how we do this. And it just happened. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
And we,
I mean, I guess, I mean, yeah. It's been great.
And that's kind of the thing that's nice about having a group that not only like, obviously I'm in the group. We do a lot of the stuff that I kind of come up with and do, but I'm also testing at all of my gyms and our affiliates and stuff like that. So we get a lot of testing done on my dime instead of you guys spending money on your dime to see if it works or not. Mm-hmm. So I test a lot of stuff, and that's why we kind of, I won't roll it out to you guys unless I know it's going to work and be successful and get actual return on that investment. Alex, he said, good to hear he's in the similar situation, running a one-man show, getting overwhelmed. Glad to hear some success stories. Good, Alex. Yeah, absolutely, man. We get you rolling there. Nerd life, John said.
He does it well either way.
I don't want to hold you up anymore. I know you got to go back over and probably close up and smash some people maybe. But just want to thank you for jumping on. If you guys like this, put a little thumbs up in the comments. Let us know you want us to keep doing these. Try to hear people's stories, try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And then again, thank you, Frank, for jumping on. And I will let you have the last words.
Guys, if you're on the fence about it, give him a call. Talk to Jonathan. He'll get you squared away. It was something that I was hesitant because people oftentimes are so worried about making the wrong decision or making a mistake that they keep from basically doing something that changes their life. It dramatically has changed my life for me, my wife, my kids, and all of my students. So, yeah, give it a go.
Good, man. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, drop them in there and we'll get to them after. If you catch this on the replay, put replay. And then we also have our Fab 5, which is our 5 frameworks on how to grow your academy. So if you want that for free, there's a link in the description. And if you put 5 in the comments, we'll make sure to get you that 5 growth frameworks that you need to run your martial arts gym. Frank, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate it. And I will see you on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. See you then.
All right, brother. Thank you. Take it easy.